Everybody, and welcome back to our Legacy of the Wizard tutorial. So let's get cracking. Last time we left off with creating some selectable characters, but this time we are actually going to do something with them. So let's get started with the girl here. So we're going to add a couple more variables to her. Target, you remember that variable that we made in the create event? We are going to store the temporary variable that we created here in the permanent variable target so that we can use it in other parts of the code. Then we're going to do transitioning underscore is equal to true. So we swap the state to false. Alright, so what are we going to do with this? Well, first off, we are going to create a region. Pound region. What is a region? A region is like a comment that you can collapse. So we have the selecting region or the selecting state. We come here, we do end region. And wait a second, there it goes. Poof. Now we can collapse all that code and get it out of the way so that we can focus on the things that we want to be looking at instead. So next up, we have the pound region transitioning. I kind of use these things randomly because sometimes I feel like building a region and sometimes I don't. So, you know, there's no rhyme or reason to when I use them really, but I try to whenever I can. So when we transition from the inside of the room to the inventory selection room, we need to destroy all of the characters in the room except for the character that we selected. So what we're going to do here is just trust me when I say that there are comments all over my code, but I don't really code them in here as I'm working on with this. But once I get done finished with all this, I'll upload a finished code and you can look at all the comments that are in there. So I guess I need to make this object here. I forgot about it. So I don't know why I made it as an object. I probably could have done it in a better way, as that other way. That would have been easier, but this works just as well. So what we have here is an object that creates a full screen flash. So color is equal to C underscore white, and interval is equal to 6. We're going to set up an alarm. So alarm 0. Once this triggers, it destroys the object so that it's no longer around flashing. And last but not least, we're going to want to draw GUI end so that it covers up the stat bar. And we're going to use a script. Underscore interval underscore and alarm 0. So what does this script do? Fairly simply, it just draws a screen flash over the interval that you gave it. So let's see, if time underscore timer mod percent, what is it in percent? Is that mod? I think it's mod. Typically I type mod or div. I can't remember what the percent is. I think it's modulo. Okay, so if timer modulo interval is less than or equal to interval divided by 2 and underscore timer is greater than 0, then just draw a rectangle over the screen in the color of the flash. So that timer is, so as long as this timer is greater than 0, because we don't want to be doing after the timer, but it really doesn't matter because the timer will also kill the object, so it'll disappear once you do it. But At the same time, I use this in other places where you don't kill the object, so it'll be useful for those areas as well. So let's see. Now we got our full screen flash here. Come on, change color. Oh wait, I didn't name it. There we go. So now that that's in place, let's see real quick. Do I ever actually give it a interval? I didn't. How does this thing work then? I have no idea. Oh wait. Oh, that's right. I have a second script I'll use in a second here that will give it a time period. So just real quick here. Actually, we'll skip over that for the moment because we don't need this really for the moment. Actually, so this comes after the code that starts the transition. So just I had them backwards here, so that's right. See, we have the flash call being our secondary variable there, so that it will only call the flash once, so we don't have a bunch of flashes all over the place. So we use call underscore full screen underscore flash c underscore y flash underscore frames. That's right. So we have the variable that we created, flash frames. We had 60s, how many frames we wanted, flash called, and flash counter. Alright, then we say flash underscore called underscore is equal to true, and audio underscore play underscore sound, send underscore character selection, 1 false, object underscore selectable character dot palette underscore is equal to 1, because this will swap our characters palette to the alternate palette that is used during the transition effect. Okay, so that should be working properly now. So yeah, this just creates the object. So creates the full screen flash object and sets the color to whatever color we want it to be. So it's C underscore white by default, but we can make it any color we wanted, and sets the alarm to FTL, which is, I have no idea what that abbreviation was supposed to stand for. Maybe it was supposed to be TTL and I accidentally put F. Either way. Oh wait, FTL, frames to live. Alright, so we create the flash effect. Then, once we've created the flash effect, since this is now true, this portion won't activate anymore. But now that the full screen flash object exists, we can then begin checking to see if it is time to delete all the characters that we didn't select, because those are all deleted about halfway through the transition. So if flash underscore counter underscore is less than or equal to flash underscore frames underscore divided by 3, then if ID does not equal other dot target underscore instance underscore destroy. So what are we doing here? So if the ID of our character, so it's basically saying if anything in the room, the ID does not match that of the other dot character of the target that we're looking for, then destroy that object. So I think I should put object underscore character dot ID does not equal. Other just refers back to let's see, what did I do? Okay. So if ID does not equal other dot target, when in the world did I use the other? So we have oh, I forgot. It needs to be with object underscore selectable character. Yes, that makes more sense there. I was trying to figure out why in the world is that all there, but it's because we're doing this with the object selectable character. So if the ID of the selectable object character does not equal, then it refers back to other, which would be referred back to the character selector dot target underscore, then destroy that object and make sure the image underscore speed is equal to 0 and swap the sprite underscore index with sprite underscore player underscore walk down. And this would work a little bit differently if we had multiple characters, because we would have to know which character you would be swapping it to, but that should be a simple enough matter to figure out. Then we want to create a fade underscore transition. This is one of those transition scripts from earlier that I showed you when we made the transition object. And we want to go trans underscore mode dot go to room underscore inventory object underscore transitions dot percent underscore is equal to -1000. Now in this case I set the percent to be very, very high because we want to make the transition wait until after the screen flashes occur before we actually do the transition. Again, this is something that could have probably been handled better if I spent more time working on that part of the project, but I didn't. Then we destroy ourselves because we are no longer needed. Also, don't forget to increment the flash counter down because we need that to go down each frame as well. So let's see, make sure we got everything in here, and I think we are good to try this out. Yeah, let's give it a try. So go into our room. There we go. Yay, we got a transition. So let's see what's next. We have transitioning, but we also have two other characters here. We have the grandma and the grandpa character. What do they do? Well, in the game, grandma and grandpa were for saving and loading, but they used a rather archaic method, which was take all the information that relates to everything you've done in the game and turn it into a save string, which you then have to laboriously type it in and hope you don't mess things up, because that wouldn't be very fun, because you'd have to retype things and whatnot. So instead, we are just going to create a simple save and a simple load box instead, because nobody uses save strings anymore. So instead, well, create save / load object. We're just going to put that in there for the moment. And audio underscore play underscore sound underscore selection underscore alt 1 false, and selecting underscore is equal to false. And we're going to do the same thing for the grandma as well, or the grandpa. And we're going to need to make some save and load objects here. So create object, create object. In this case, we are going to call one object underscore text box underscore save. Object underscore text box underscore load. Alright, so what do we got next here? Replace these with instance underscore create underscore layer XY. I don't think it really matters where you make them. Let me check real quick. Actually, I think it might. Let's just use 0, 0. That's what we used. Then go and we create the instances layer object underscore text box underscore save. Copy and replace with load. So I haven't actually implemented a full save load system into this game because, well, I didn't really have the time to do it for this one. But I'll show you the most of how to go about doing it. But anyways, that'll be for the next part of this tutorial. So anyways, thank you everybody for watching, and good luck with your coding.